Hello, everybody. This is Matt Harris with the VARATO Podcast. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Brent Peterson. He has an illustrious background. University Computer Ireland, 92 to 99. Computer Data and Design, 99 to 2009. Midwest Suppliers, 2009 to 2011. Magento Commerce, 2011 to 2023. He was the forum moderator at Magento. He now is working on, from what I can tell, amongst other things, Talk Commerce, Content Basis LSE, Content Cucumber. Oh, and by the way, he's a massive marathon runner, and I think he's actually run marathons. I think he's hit the big 7. Is that right? Anyway, welcome, Brent.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, six.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, welcome, Brent. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. That was a very nice introduction. Nobody's ever looked at that before.
Did I get it right?
Yeah, you're spot on.
All right, good. So what's going on with you? I got a few questions to ask you about, technology and e-commerce, but is there anything you want to talk about that you're working on now that you're kind of excited about?
Yeah, so I've been working on sort of a branding engine and a tool to help brands understand their brand voice. So that's one of the things I've been working on. I have a little app. I've now connected to Shopify and to WordPress. So think about taking all your content in from your WordPress site, and that content helps you to build your brand. And then you can adjust your brand voice by what all that content says about your brand.
Oh, so interesting.
I'm excited about that part. The e-commerce portion is, I do believe that most people don't spend enough time thinking about the content they have around their product or service. And the typical Shopify store has 4 to 5 bullet points about the product they're selling. So think about if you're out there, you're a LLM engine scraping the internet, and you want to find your widget that you're selling at Jimmy's Widget Store, and you've got 4 bullet points that describe your widget. That's all you have. You're not going to get a lot of love from anybody.
Right. And does this impact schema data?
Yeah, I mean, you should have all kinds of data on your site. You shouldn't have more than just you should just have more than just your basic description of your product.
Right.
So, I'm working to help people understand that they need more content around their product.
Right. Interesting. And so that's a project you're working on now?
Correct. Yep.
And what's that?
Other things.
Yeah. What's that called again?
So the tool is called requestdesk.ai.
Okay.
And it's in alpha right now. It's available. You can log in and you can sign up and play around with it. I do have some built-in tools for AI, but and I have an endpoint for agents to generate. I have a RAG in there already, a retrieval system that vectorizes your data, so you can store huge amounts of data and then query it. And then I have some endpoints that you can attach to if you're so wanting to.
Wow, very cool. So, given your background, obviously, you've been doing website stuff, I'm guessing, since 99, 2000, thereabouts, and been in e-commerce for at least since 2011, right? Probably even before that.
Yeah, I mean, my first website was in 1994 and my first e-commerce. So, I mean, if you could say I would take in requests and then I would manually do them in the background in Excel and then return the request. So, we had a computer business where we'd make computers, and I had a whole sheet where somebody'd submit a request and then I'd send them back a quote. And this was, I guess you could have done it in Perl, but I wasn't that advanced in 1995 to do that in Perl scripts. But certainly that was my first website that I did way back in the day. And we had a good following. If you go back to the Wayback Machine, University Computers was the name of my company back then. So anyways.
So you go way back. That's awesome. Yeah, not to talk about myself, but you mentioned Perl. One of the first big e-commerce projects I worked on was in 1998, 97, 98. And it was Gateway Computers. And it was basically like you had the data sheets from all the specs on the computers, which were in a database. And then you wrote a Perl script and you generated a flat file. And then you linked the flat files and you threw them up on a website because the servers weren't fast enough and the databases weren't fast enough to do real-time queries. So the fastest way to make the site was flat files. Anyway, like think about the way that we used to do things. It's crazy. We've come a long way. So on that note, if you have, your crystal ball and you can look at the current state of e-commerce, and everyone's talking about like where e-commerce is going, agentic e-commerce, where do you see things changing? Like, where do you think we will be in terms of what agentic e-commerce is even in the next few years? How do you see this kind of rolling out?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that big brands aren't going to have websites. I tend to disagree. I think that they're going to want to control some of that experience that customers are seeing about their brand. They don't want to give that control up to a LLM to show them. And I was just using Perplexity Pro and I did search for something and it showed me a bunch of cards, just like Google would, right? So the idea is that these LLMs are going to start scraping our sites and that they're going to be our central buying place. So it'll be a new channel for you as a merchant to be able to sell things through the LLM, through ChatGPT or Claude or Perplex, whatever you're selling it through. I do believe that people are still going to have a website that you're going to show your stuff. You may not have to sell it, but you're going to show it. So I think one of the biggest changes is going to be the idea of SEO, where whether bots are out there scraping the internet. That's the way that LLM AEO is working right now. I do think that there's going to be endpoints for APIs that the bots are now going to hit, and you as a merchant are going to want to have your endpoint available to display your wares, let's say, to the scrapers that are coming along. They're not just going to scrape your site manually. They're going to actually come to your endpoint. They're going to download all just like an RSS feed, I think is a great way to look at it. They're going to take all that information from that whatever we're going to call it. We're going to call it the agentic SEO endpoint. And you're not gonna have that front end traffic. It's going to be a whole bunch of back end traffic. It does allow you as a vendor to control some of that, but it also leaves a hole for the people that aren't going to be up for this, that aren't ready for some kind of back end ability to scrape your site or get that information that you want out there. I do think that the more data you have on your site as well, the more you talked a little bit about structured data earlier. More of those schemas, structured data that you have on your website, the better you are going to be found, because I think that LLMs are looking for answers that people are questions to answers, or answers to questions that are out there, right? And right now, Google does a lot of ranking by the amount of time you spend on a site. So how well the content is written, if you're a user just sitting there reading it, is that valuable to you? So, Google's giving you higher marks for the fact that people are on your site reading it. I think for the LLM side, we're going to see LLMs that are just getting data and then they're presenting the data. There will be maybe some data there'll be some ways of measuring the quality of the data. But we still have to see then how long it's going to be before people actually read it. Although then every LLM is going to have their own little mini version of who's interacting with what.
So basically, it's kind of back to the XML feed, essentially, like an RSS feed. Like here's my data that says what it is. I think one of the things that we're talking a lot about is how AI misunderstands context. And so like the structure, is that what you're thinking? Like in terms of you need to have more language describing what things are, but you also have to kind of babysit the AI a little bit better so that it understands the context of what the content is.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot more data around we're going to see a lot more data around describing things for LLMs and having to have descriptions of your store to help it understand why it should even be there and where it should go. It's not just going to be some visual. It'll be a lot more back end data that's involved in making sure it gets to the right place. And I think you make up a great point about just understanding the context and then I think we're still going to struggle a little bit with it guessing. Yeah, I think you really like this, and these size 10 shoes are perfect for you. And then you keep telling it, I'm a size 12. Well, can't you just get a size 10 and a size 2? There's going to be stupid things like that that's going to come up.
So gone are the days of the organic search result. Maybe gone are maybe the days of Google shopping where everything shows up visually, or that's becoming less important, I guess. Looking at maybe this is what the AI is telling you. This is giving you the answer to the thing that you want answered. You're asking this question, the AI is giving it to you. So is this, am I kind of thinking about this right? Those older channels are getting de-emphasized. This AI channel is going to become more emphasized. And then I've heard a lot of talk about maybe the absence of a graphic user interface.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go as far as to say that it's going to be de-emphasized. I think that it's just going to be a new channel that it's going to go down. I think if we look at how retail is right now, the majority of people still go to shop, right? I think, what is it? I'm just going to guess. It's less than 20% that people shop online for all the goods bought in the US, right? So it's far less than 50%. It's probably less than a quarter. And whoever is going to look up this data after, they're going to correct me. But, the same thing is going to evolve with SEO. I feel that people are still going to want to go and look at you as a brand, and they're not going to want to go through some portal to see some filtered brand through ChatGPT. They're going to want to go right to you to see it. They're not going to, they're just like your social media, or even if you go to Amazon, Amazon store is very limited in what you can do. It can't be your full, you can't have your full, imagery and all the fun things you'd like to do in a brand store. If you look at Nike.com, their branding is great. That, like, how do you replicate that through ChatGPT? Who knows? Maybe in 5 years they will have replicated it through ChatGPT. But I would ask then why? Why are we? Is that just another browser, right? Somebody's going to have to control that. Somebody's going to make it, and somebody's going to want to make sure that it's usable or seeable by other humans.
So basically, in the context of e-commerce, the AI role is another mechanism that buyers are using to get to the products in a different way or potentially faster, like ease of use, right? I can talk into my phone and it gives me the results I want. I don't have to type. Like, that would be a big advantage, right? But it's not going to be the complete elimination of the older legacy channels. They're still going to be there. There's still going to be visual shopping through web browsers, et cetera.
Yeah, listen, I mean, how many times have you heard email is dead?
Yeah.
Like, nobody uses email anymore, right? We're going to hear texting is dead. Like, who knows? But no, email still remains. And email is your list that you control, right? You control your email list. You don't have to worry about getting kicked off of Twitter or whatever, X now. You don't have to there's all those parts that are important to you owning your brand and owning your list. So I think a lot of those things are going to apply into the future. So take that same idea. I want to own my email. I want to own my customer list. I don't want to give my customer list to Amazon, or I don't want my experience to be shared with all the other users and have it the vanilla the exact same way as the way my Amazon store. I want to have my own look and feel, and I want it to be super dynamic. I want to have spinny fire things.
Yeah. So, and then in your estimation, like, current state in terms of the relevance of AI in search results or allowing users to find products, we're already there, right? That's happening today. What are a few things that you think businesses can start to do to prepare for this becoming a much more important component of online shopping or shopping in general? Where are the gaps now for like an average, let's say, retailer?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can look at your Google Analytics and see where people are finding you. Like Google is going to tell you, "Hey, Perplexity found you this way," or ChatGPT, or whatever the way they're finding you. When they find you, that it's already too late. Like you should start encoding your data now to be found. And I would really encourage people to experiment in ways that help LLMs find you. And my business partner Isaac is great at that. Like we have a human writing company, and they employ humans to write and update content and encode that content to be found through AEO. And I think he's doing some great things in that respect for our company called Content Cucumber. So I think that's one thing as a merchant you should be doing. You should be thinking about all your products and how they're being seen. And I would work really hard to get one of your segments really found and constantly test with more data to make sure that those products are getting found by those by the different GPTs out there. And I think that's the first place to look and try and do and just go. You're going to have to test it, right?
So you use the term AEO. You want to describe what that is?
It's AIEO or AEO, or there's all kinds of different terms of how the agents will search your site and how to make your site available for those searches. So SEO is search engine optimization. AEO is agentic engine optimization, right, or agentic search engine however you want to call it. But that's
so this is it's gonna be spawn a whole new industry for us, right? Just like SEO did back in the day.
It's already spawned a new industry.
Spawned.
Yeah,
it has spawned. The industry has spawned. Yeah, it's funny. I was when my mom was, when I started in my career, she would say, "I don't really understand what you do. Can you explain it to me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I build websites," and I'd show her stuff. And she's like, I don't know what's, is there any future in this? She was worried. Obviously, moms are always worried. And I was thinking back 30 years ago to today, and there's probably like how many roles or jobs or skills that you could gain employment in that we didn't even know how to describe back then. They didn't exist. And I think AI is going to do the same thing. It's going to spawn all these new career paths and opportunities. It's like, oh, is AI going to replace humans? It's like, yeah, I mean, maybe there's some of that you could be, some jobs, some roles. But I think the thing we don't have clarity on, we know what to worry about. We can't see the opportunities. Those aren't clear. The jobs that were created between 1995 and now, in 95, we couldn't see them. They were invisible to us, right? Now it's clear. I think that's, anyway, a little off topic, but I do think there's going to be lots of opportunities that the new technology is going to create for businesses and individuals.
Yeah, I think we're going to see all kinds of fun stuff coming down the line. And I think there's things that we haven't even thought about yet that are going to happen. Nobody would have ever thought it. I mean, a year ago, I was saying that, people buy things. So why would you have an agent go and buy something for you? And then, like all of a sudden, agentic commerce came up.
Yeah. So that gets me back to one of the concepts that I've been toying around with in my head, and I think I want to discuss more on the podcast, is everyone's talking about AI, obviously. And, I mentioned that report, that MIT report from the NANDA organization, where enterprises are investing in AI and not seeing the results yet. Not that they won't. But at what point do you have a sense that some of this is hype and there's some snake oil sale? There's people selling hype, and there's a lot of people claiming to be practitioners that aren't, et cetera. There's businesses over investing, and then they're going to regret it. Do you see that this is a potential current where we're at right now, current state, and there might be a dot bomb scenario in our future where people get a little bit scared about the hype and they spent too much and there'll be a little bit of a retreat?
Yeah, I think it's going to be in the it's going to be in the hardware space, but geez, the hardware is going so fast that I don't see it as a bubble. I don't see our costs going up. I see a lot of new technology being made around the hardware side. And, I have a Mac with the M4 Max, and man, it is fantastic. I can run a 72 billion portion, whatever they call it. I can run a model that's huge on my machine where before I couldn't run it. I couldn't run a 14B model of something. So the technology is rapidly increasing. And that's fantastic. Like, I don't think that's a bubble at all. I think that what we're seeing is the hype around agentic, right? And this idea that agents are going to go get deployed and buy stuff for you.
Right.
That part, everybody's talking about. A lot of the vendors are making it sound like it's happening. And I can say that I was just at eTail. I moderated a panel at eTail, and we asked the audience who is using agentic commerce, and nobody raised their hand. Like, there's nothing to deploy it to. And I think in D2C, B2C, there's a little less. Maybe Amazon will be that first one to do it, but there's a little less out there. With the B2B, I see there's a lot of opportunity for this agentic ideas where you want to procure something and that agent's going to go out and search for that, whatever that thing is, that widget you need. You're going to have vendors that are allowing that widget in on your behalf. And you'll have to get authenticated, so you don't have just somebody scraping your site for the sake of getting prices. And then they're going to negotiate, with your own internal agent that's going to negotiate the pricing. So I see B2B the biggest opportunity for this agentic market idea.
That's interesting. Yeah. I think a lot of the efficiencies gains too that people are hoping will come is that AI and the AI agents will build efficiencies operationally. So what used to take a lot of manual inputs is now automated, and that those AI agents can not only perform some of these tasks, which, we've had that like individual tasks once you train them how to do it, but also look for opportunities to make things even faster, like like a game. Like, how can we make this business more operationally efficient? Of course, there's a lot of talk about that, but I think I'm just curious. This might be outside of your realm of expertise, the operational side of things, but I think that's where there's a lot of potential gains to be made with businesses. But we're not quite there yet with the current LLMs.
Yeah, I don't know I think we're there. I think you need to put some guardrails around it. I know that we've done a lot of work in the back end to just automate some things. I think that the trap is that you feel as though you need less and less people operationally, and the LLM is going to take care of that. And then suddenly you have something that's unchecked, right? It's just checked by one thing. And if it, just like any program, something interrupts that and it's out of the scope of what it knows. If you don't have a good safe out, then it's going to be a problem. I have a friend that has a new AI business, and they use texting to get people to for abandoned carts. And he showed me a conversation that one of his users had with a bot that went an entire weekend. Right? They didn't, like, in your SMS, if you say stop, it'll stop automatically. But this person just kept talking, and the person asked about college football, and the LLM started talking to them about college football, and they had a conversation from Friday afternoon until Sunday afternoon. And the person finally said, I'm going to have to stop and go eat dinner. And the stop statement stopped the whole LLM thing. The LLM just kept responding like, yeah, what's your favorite college football team? And the person would say, yeah, I'm Penn State. And then, it just kept going. And they had a huge bill, like a huge SMS bill that they were like, well, why did this cost like $20 or whatever the cost was? So I think that without specific gateways and specific checks, you'll have LLMs that are checking LLMs, and that's what their solution was, to have an LLM checking the LLM to make sure that if it goes out of bounds, that there's a check in there. But I think there's going to be the check that doesn't check, right? There's going to be this spot without a human that has some rationality to it that is going to be able to stop it. And I can 100% say, because I do a lot of vibe coding now, I can 100% say that there is no logic often behind what an LLM does. Their number one goal is to make you happy. They are the perfect lapdog. They are there to make you happy. They'll do almost everything they can to make you happy. They'll tell you over and over again that it's 100% done when it's not done. They won't follow instructions. They'll do all kinds of stuff that makes no sense. They'll just keep doing the same check. And if you're trying to debug, they'll keep doing the same thing over and over again unless you tell them to do some, like, it just takes so much. There's so much manual intervention that has to happen to be efficient that it, don't get me wrong, it's not efficient in terms of coding. But if you're one of those people that just codes and lets it go, man, you're going to end up with a mess.
Yeah. I also think this idea with agentic e-commerce that we're going to have, one agent negotiating with another agent, and then there's going to be an actual transaction that's going to be completed. There might even be a shipment that's made. There might even be an ACH record that is, an ACH that goes through. I see a ton of potential for security issues that we haven't even thought of yet. If some of the transactional stuff becomes automated. And that's the other thing people are obviously talking about, and I'm sure you've thought about this and talked about, is just governance. Like, if we're going to be using AI within our businesses to automate things, like you said, where are those guardrails? What's it allowed to do? What's it not allowed to do?
Yeah, I mean, there's a great model out there that's been working for quite a while. If you think about go and buy a stock, go onto E-Trade and purchase your stock, you're deploying somebody on your behalf to buy that stock for you, and it's not a human. It's an electronic it's an electronic transaction. It's simpler than buying, a widget that has so many different pieces that has to get negotiated. But the whole idea of this of bots buying stuff for us has been around for a while. Put a lot of people out of business that had to sit and yell on a trading floor and throw paper around. But that has happened a long time ago, and we're going to see that again. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's an interesting example. Then you end up with something like the Flash Boys, who end up front running stock trades and getting a fraction of. I don't know if you know about that technology. It's kind of funny. What did they used to call it? I think they called it a front runner. Like, if you were on the stock floor and you're like, I want to buy 100 shares of this, someone would go and buy it right before you. They'd run in front of you and buy it.
Oh, yeah.
And then they say, okay, now you can buy it off of me. I know, I can tell your intent. And with the trading that goes on, there's actual machines that will purchase stocks before your intent to purchase them, just to get a very fractional increase in the value of the price of that stock. And then they just resell it. They don't hold any stock at the end of the day. Yep. Anyway, whatever. That's Michael Lewis wrote a book about it. It's kind of interesting, but that's a really good point. That's a really good point. We've been doing automated buying and selling for a long time now, so that's nothing new. I got a couple questions. I have two questions I wanted to follow up with. What do businesses need to do to prepare for AI? We kind of did that already. That's one question, and you can decide which one of these questions you want to answer. The other is, do you think the biggest 5 technology companies today will still be the 5 biggest technology companies in 5 years?
Yeah, I'll answer that second one. I think no. I'm just giving, I guess OpenAI has really grown quickly. So 5 years, I think we'll have new people that are eclipsing what Microsoft and Google and some of these other ones are doing. And I think it's going to be in the AI realm. We're going to see some consolidation, probably. Hopefully, we're going to see more models out there, more smaller models that are available, just like we did in the e-commerce market, where we have all kinds of different e-commerce things that are there for verticals, B2B and specific types of e-commerce platforms that are available to people. I know there'll be that type of model out there that'll kind of fill that mid-market. But I do feel as though some of the big AI companies like Anthropic and OpenAI and some of these other ones that are out there are going to continue to grow, and there's going to be room for whatever that next thing is. And I don't know if it's going to be as big as that, but who'd ever thought that AI would be as big as it is 5 years ago, right?
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I discovered the Google search box. I was like, oh, this is interesting. It was a project, someone's Stanford. I think there's a lot of dorm room projects going on right now, or basement garage projects. I'll put it that way. But that's interesting. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think the old dogs will, they have a lot of market penetration and leverage, and they're not going to die off. Maybe a couple will. I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you there. All right. Well, let's see. Brent, thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to say on the podcast? Words of wisdom? Excellent. All right. Brent Peterson, find him online. Look for his newsletter. I appreciate your thoughts on AI and e-commerce, and look to speak to you again. I'm sure I'll see you around the way. I think we run in some of the same circles, so we'll bounce into each other. Anyway, thank you for being on the VARATO Podcast. Again, this is Matt Harris with VARATO. Check us out, varato.com, where you get your podcasts. Search for us, YouTube channel, Spotify, and that's it. Thanks a lot.